Good morning, I'm Julie Harmieson. I'm one of the co-directors of Trauma Informed Schools. We're trying really hard at the moment to support staff in whatever way we can in schools, and this video hopefully will be helpful to those who are still continuing to work. Grateful thanks to all key workers, regardless of position or role. You're doing a tremendous job. One challenge you may be facing is that those children who are attending school, what you may be seeing is a real difficulty in separating from their parents in the morning. You might see a confrontational, angry child. You might see a child or young person who is really withdrawn, or you may be seeing a child that's overwhelmed with distress, very tearful and very clingy to the parent as they're being dropped off. This is understandable. All of those behaviours are underpinned by an overactive fear system, and there is much that we can do to support that. If we kind of rely on what we may traditionally have done, which is to distract and minimise, to kind of reassure the child, we do them a big disservice. So we're going to talk through kind of the steps that we can take in order to help the child make sense of, to understand, and to have their fears validated and understood by another, which is a real gift in these times. When the child is first dropped off, one of the things to consider is that both parent and child may well be feeling anxious. The first thing we need to do is to protect and make it manageable and bearable for both. So the first thing is to ensure that the child says goodbye in a safe and secure place. So this will mean that the parent brings the child into an area of the school where the child is contained and safe, as the child may well try and follow the parent as they leave. If you can get it to be the same member of staff that does this on a daily basis, that would be ideal, but certainly someone who is familiar to the child. Encourage the parent to follow the same goodbye ritual. What we're aiming for is a sense of psychological safety for the child, and the more that we have predictability, that will really help the child around this. Finally, using an object as a transitional object, it can be really helpful to help the child maintain the parent's presence in mind when they're absent. This does pose a few challenges at the moment because of the risk of cross-infection, but if the child can have a photograph particularly, this visually stimulates as well as providing a reminder that the parent will return. Try to keep the parting between the parent and the child brief, and then what you're likely to see is the behaviour that the child presents. Remember, this is an expression of emotional distress and a real indication of an unmet need at that point. Avoid distracting, minimising or reassuring. If we think into and consider what's going on for the child, their parent is leaving and going to a position that the child believes is dangerous, and that their concerns, their worries, their fantasies may be that the parent may not return. So there's no amount of reassuring that can placate a child in that situation. What we can do is validate. One of the things that's really key for you as the adults is that we have to stay steady and regulated for the child. A dysregulated adult cannot calm and regulate a dysregulated child. So it's important that you take a breath, steady yourself before you then connect with the child. Once we're steady and we've imagined into the experience of the child, what we can then do is accept and validate how they are experiencing this event. And what this really creates for the child is a sense of not being catastrophically alone with the feelings, that someone really understands and gets how it is for them. So what we might do here is the words we might use are around, I can see just how hard this is for you. I can hear how upset you are and your heart is breaking at your mummy leaving. And it's really fine for you to feel that, so that the child knows and understands that what they're feeling is a normal response to the panic and grief of separating from their parent. It's really important that the pitch and tone of our voice really matches the cadence of the child's emotional distress, If we're at a different level, if we're not riding the same emotional wave as the child, they can experience that as really not getting or understanding how it is for them, or a misattunement. So that's important. What we can then do is offer compassion and empathy, and this provides comfort in the connection, but also helps them to feel again that someone really understands. So some of the words that we might be using here: I am so very sorry it's so hard for you right now. How unbearable for you to have such big worries about your mum or your dad. I'm so sorry you're not able to be with your mum and dad. And this is the point where we can offer some comfort in: your mummy or daddy cannot be with you today, but I'm going to stay with you until they return. So it's not reassuring. It's not saying mummy will be back soon. It's actually just saying, I'm going to stay. You're not going to be alone. I'll be with you in your distress. And this is really helpful for the child. One of the things to remember is this isn't a quick fix, and it may take the child a period of time to be able to regulate and calm in your presence. So it's not a quick fix, and it's important that we stay with the child where they are with their emotions at that time, and not rush them to a fix to make them feel better. Once we have them steady and regulated, then what we can do is really support them to reflect on the painful feelings and fears that they may be holding within and are too frightened really to voice. And that's an important process too. Hopefully this has been helpful. Look out for the further videos that will be popping up from the other members of the team. Stay safe, stay well, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Take care.